Well, Coach, I think back in the preseason, most everybody probably looked at your front seven and thought you had a ton of experience and and talent. What has surprised you about the back end? I mean, how well have you been surprised by the back end?
No, like I told you guys, I think I might have said it. Youth, a lot of youth back there, inexperienced, but I thought we had a talented group. Yeah, so they're right where we thought they would be or we hoped they would be. They're playing extremely consistent. They're communicating at a high level. And I think that's what's given us a chance to, play as well as we're playing.
What kind of threat does Arkansas's Jaquaden Jackson pose to this defense?
Yeah, you're talking about the quarterback, right? Is that the quarterback?
The running back.
The running back, I'm sorry. So, yeah, I know numbers probably more than names. So 22, yep, I know exactly who he is. No, really good player. He's played extremely well. He's got really good short area quickness. I think he's got good balance and body control. So, he's obviously one of the better backs we've seen to date. We're going to have our hands full, but he's definitely got our attention. Yeah, I do know who 22 is.
Speaking of the quarterback and the way that he plays, his style of game, how challenging is the communication and the eyes for the back end of the defense in a game like this with his game?
Yeah, I think you struck the chord where it needed to be. It's just the eyes. Everybody has to be disciplined when he starts to scramble. He's really made some plays, down the field. He's athletic enough to break contain and go for 80, but he's also got a strong arm that he can throw at 80. So we just got to do a good job. We got to be very disciplined, not just with the back end, but our front, making sure that we're, containing them when we need to contain them and linebackers being where they need to be. It'll really be a collective group, for us to contain this kid. He's really special in terms of running and throwing.
What's allowed Jermod to have the start to the season that he's had? What makes him so good?
Yeah, I think just his preparation again. Those guys work really hard. I think Coach Martinez, Coach E.T., Coach Johnson, those guys have all done a really good job with the back end guys. And, we thought Jermod had a chance to be special, just based on what we've seen in the spring, and it was a carryover to the fall. So I just think his work ethic, his communication, he doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's very, even keel in terms of, his preparation and how he performs on Saturday. So we're excited for him, and we think his best football is still ahead of him, to say the least.
When you saw Jermod in the portal on film and all that, how sure were you at that time, or what did you see at that time that you thought when he got here he would be a hit?
Yeah, I would be lying if I told you we knew right away. But you say that for any portal kids. We have a checklist of things that we're looking for. When you're evaluating guys out of the portal. But we liked his athleticism. We thought. With his background as a receiver, he had really good ball skills. I think the thing that really jumped out, is how big he was, when we got a chance to see him up close in person. So, but we saw the ball skills on tape. We saw the fluidity in which he played with. But for me personally, it was just his oversized size. Once we saw him, we thought this kid had a chance to be special.
I think you said after the Chattanooga game, when we were asking about your defense, you talked about how you had to really clean up communication things, particularly the back end.
Yep.
With the youth of that unit and where they are now, how impressed have you been by their ability to grow in that area of their game?
Yeah, I think it's been great. Again, you see it in practice, and sometimes when you're young, it's hard to take what you do to practice to the game days consistently. But I thought those guys have really worked at it. And they just the corner to corner, safety to safety. Sometimes talking to linebackers. I mean, it's a very broad stroke, but I thought those guys have done a good job from then and now. And if I'm being honest, I think we still got room to grow that'll help those guys become even better. But I like the direction we're headed.
Coach, when you have a defensive line that's playing like you guys are, the ability to stop the run and affect the quarterback, how easy does that make your job as a game planner, as a play caller during games when you know that you can rely on those guys to play at a high level?
I think, again, our D-line has done a tremendous job, and all the pub they've probably gotten has been great. But when we talk about stopping the run, we talk about it as a collective group. It takes the corners doing their job, the safeties doing their job, and sometimes the front gets the credit, sometimes the back end. But at the end of the day, that's always been the focal point for us to be able to stop the run. And, it's great that the D-line is getting some of that pub. But as a play caller, yeah, it makes it great, but again, everybody has to do their job for us to play the style that we want to play. And, obviously the D-line helps. They really do.
If you look back to the other week against Oklahoma, you guys had 11 TFLs. What's allowing you all to continue to be successful behind the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I think our kids play hard. They really do. That's one thing that we've always preached since we've got here. We want to play hard. play it hard as we possibly can and leave it out on the field. And I think when you play that hard, typically good things happen. So, since day one, we've always tried to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage, whether we're pressuring or whether we're with our front. And you're just kind of seeing the fruits of that. So,
Coach, where have you seen the biggest benefit from the in-helmet communication with your players, and kind of how has that evolved in the first month of the season?
yeah, it's kind of always a work in progress. But I think for me, not yelling in it all the time and, giving those guys a chance to be able to play football has been awesome. But if you do have something to say that brings value, in between plays, that's been great as well. So, we're still getting used to it. I think our kids like it, but I think for me personally, just not giving them too much, but giving them enough to be able to play fast as they can. Like I said earlier, we want to play fast, we want to play hard, and I try not to tie up their mind with a lot of verbal communication. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.